This is a 1979 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. It's blue with baby blue interior. No, I'm not a master mechanic or anything like that, but what I notice about these cars is that they have these plastic fillers right by where the taillights are, and they always break. I always see on most Cadillacs they're missing. I replaced mine. I painted on myself. It came with a whole kit too. I had to replace both of them. I had to replace this nightmare, which I'll tell you about in a little bit. And there are other plastic pieces inside the trunk that I replaced as well. These things were rotted out as well too. I also replaced this bottom piece. I didn't mess with this piece, just the bottom piece. I mean, for the simple part, it's, for as far as these ones go, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just those 3 bolts. Now right here, you have this thing. It's where your gas can is, but these 2 bolts right here go through a hole that's connected to this bottom piece right there. So that's how I got that on. As far as the corner pieces go, there's this frame thing that actually sits inside of here, and it has bolt holes going through here, which is metal. And I'll try to see if I can show you, because I'm better at showing people stuff than I am really explaining things. But those bolts right there, those bolts go to a frame that's on the other side. And you know, pretty self-explanatory. Put the nut on the bolt, and then as you tighten those bolts, it takes that frame from inside and presses it in, and that's how these things are actually held in. I'm going to try to show something that I haven't seen much on YouTube, is where exactly the frame is. So, you know, try to bear with me. You go underneath this tail light. Now I have to get the camera up and around there, then I'll give you a good view. And there it is. There's that frame that starts there. And that's it. You were looking at the inside of this plastic thing right now. You can see it runs right there, goes up, and then around. It stops right there though. It doesn't go all the way down on that side. It stops right up there. I think I just saw a spider. And yeah, that's the best I can do. I can tell you that putting it in is definitely a lot harder than taking it out. Now, I'll quickly explain about what you have to do with this nightmare. You need to take the whole bumper off to get that thing out. See, there's a chrome strip right around here, and there's threads of bolts that go down inside the bumper, and then there's bolts on the other side of this that have to be tightened, and they go through holes, which is plastic pieces, which is So you got to get to the other side of that. And it sounds simple, right? Well, guess what? It's not. I had to take the whole bumper off, like I said. First thing I pretty much, maybe if I give you guys some light. So, this is the bumper. I'll actually, I'm doing a great job video recording right now. So, you know, that's the bumper. You look underneath it. Try to, and you see that part goes up against there. It's really hard to do this. Okay, so anyway. You got this thing right here. That hooks up to the rest of the frame of the car. Just all the way down. There's the frame. And then you got that thing. So what I had to do is there's 4 bolts. It's like a square thing, and I had to take those off. There's also these shims in here too. It's very important that you don't lose any of those, because if you don't have those and you put them on, your bumper will probably look all crooked. Then after you take, then there's another assembly on the other side, if you can see it. Kind of. Lighting really sucks, but if you see that bar on the very bottom, pretty much where the flashlight is, that's where the second one is. So after you take that off, your whole bumper will come off too, and it's not going to just come off in a flat thing. It'll take those, it'll take all of that with it too. So if you want to make it easier and take those ones out, yeah, okay, so there's a coupling in there. You take those 2 bolts off, and then after you take those 2 bolts off. Then after you take that coupling off, there should be a oh yeah, okay, I don't remember. Yeah, then you have to get to that bolt there and that bolt there, and those 2 bolts alone is what's actually holding your taillight itself on. But you have to take off that freaking thing, because there's no way to get your socket into those 2 bolts. Not those ones. Yeah, those ones. Can't get to those 2 bolts unless you take these off first. You can't get your socket to it. So after you did all that, there's you might have noticed too, those bolts were connected to a plate. It's a fiberglass plate. So you know, all these bolts right here, you can't tighten them or loosen them too much because you'll crack the fiberglass. But once you get the bumper off, you have to take this plate off, which consists of that bolt, that bolt, and that bolt, and that bolt, and all those bolts. All these bolts. All those bolts that you see going around. Yeah, and that's the top. Hopefully, try to bear with me. It's really hard to do this when you don't have a lift. But yeah, if anybody can see what I'm talking about, that whole plate where there's just a bunch of rigids, there's a whole bunch of bolts going down. You have to take all that out. Then once you've taken all that out, then that will give you access to inside your bumper. Just to replace this. So just a word of advice for anyone who's doing that: if you're going to replace that particular part, make sure you do it right the first time, because if you screw up and you got to do it again, it's really going to suck. Glad I didn't have to do it. Oh, and another thing I should probably mention too is those bolts that were on that plate. They have clips in between them, so be really careful not to take them out too much, because if you break one of those clips while the bolt's still inside, it'll be much more harder. I personally took, it's like I said, once the whole bumper's off, I could show you better if I did a step-by-step video, but I didn't. So yeah, hopefully that helps anybody. Good luck.